G'day and welcome to another edition of Hef's Homebrew. Today we're brewing up a coffee and donut stout. This is based off my coffee and chocolate stout that I brewed last year. There's a video to that. I'll leave a link if I can be bothered in the description or in a pinned comment or something. So let's have a quick look at the ingredients for this one. So we're going to start off with 2 cans of Black Rock Oatmeal Stout as the base. We've got some dark dry malt, 500 grams of that. We've also got some light dry malt. We're going to use 250 grams of that. We've got some lactose, be 200 grams of lactose. The chocolate is coming from 200 grams of cacao powder. I think I used nibs last time, but powder's all I could get this time. The hops, 25 grams of East Kent Goldings. The coffee, this will come later. This will be 23 grams of cold brewed coffee that will get added just a couple of days before cold crashing. 2 packs of Nottingham yeast. And then in here, I've just been cold steeping some grains. They've been in overnight. It's 200 grams of dark chocolate malt and 200 grams of Carapils malt in about 4 litres of water. So that's the basic coffee chocolate stout. So what I'm going to add to hopefully get us to coffee and donut stout, I'm going to throw in some vanilla, 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste, and then also a little bit of cinnamon. If you watched my last homebrew video, I was contemplating adding the cinnamon at bottling, but that just seemed a little bit complicated for me. So I'm just going to do the whole batch as the coffee and donut stout rather than trying to split it or anything like that. I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon, about 5 grams of cinnamon. So that's all the ingredients. Spring water is what I'll be using for the water, so no need for any additions or anything like that. So I'll try and take you along and show you a bit of the process. There's the DigiBoil and my fermenter. They've been sitting around for a while, so I'll give them a wash first and get some sanitizer in the fermenter, and then we'll get brewing. Okay, so everything's been washed. The fermenter's now sitting with sanitizer in it. This is the DigiBoil. I've just emptied in the water from the steeping grains, the dark chocolate malt and the Carapils malt. We're just going to let the bag sit there. That was just a hop sock tied off at both ends with the grains, crushed grains inside. I got them crushed from my local homebrew store, so didn't have to worry about crushing them myself. While that's just finishing draining off, I'll measure out the dry ingredients and I'm going to put them into the DigiBoil while it's cold, give it a good mix up, and then we'll bring it up to the boil. Right, that's all the dry ingredients added in. So the dry malt extract, the light and the dark, the lactose. I've also put in the cinnamon and the vanilla. So what I normally do is give it a good stir with a whisk, and once we've got it all mixed in, we'll start bringing it up to the boil. We'll boil it for 10 minutes, and then when it gets down, we'll let the temperature come down to about 80 degrees. We'll chuck 25 grams of hops in. We'll let that stand for about 10 minutes, and then it will be good to transfer into the fermenter. What I'll do with the fermenter is I will put some cold water in it. So I find that because you're adding a reasonable quantity of very hot liquid, that's what's going to come out of the DigiBoil here. You don't really want to put that straight into a plastic fermenter. If you've got stainless steel, it's fine. So I chuck in a whole lot of cold water that I've had sitting in the fridge overnight at least. So that would negate putting in this hot liquid, and also it helps bring the temperature of the overall wort down, which allows you to pitch your yeast faster. Otherwise you've got to wait potentially overnight for it to come down to temperature before you can pitch. So I'll just keep stirring this in, and then once it's dissolved, or at least mostly dissolved, we'll start bringing it up to the boil. Right, so just emptying in the 2 tins of extract, the Rock Oatmeal Stout. As I said, soak them in hot water for about 10 minutes first, just loosens them up. And then I've also got a kettle here of boiling water that I use to rinse out the tins to get all of the extract out that'll stick to the sides. Okay, we just dumped the hops in, so we'll let that sit at 80 degrees or thereabouts for 10 minutes. The liquid extract and some cold water is already in the fermenter waiting, so after 10 minutes we'll empty this into the fermenter, top it up with cold water, see what the temperature is, and when it gets to temperature we'll pitch the yeast. Okay, so filled up to 23 litres, that's the fermenter in the fermenting fridge. It's sitting at 23.8 degrees at the moment, so it's still a little bit too warm, or warmer than I would like anyway, to pitch the yeast. I'm going to wait till it comes down a bit closer to 18. You can see I haven't put the airlock on yet. What I'm actually going to do is put a blow-off tube on. Last time I did this with Nottingham, it just went absolutely bananas and the krausen was coming out everywhere, so we won't make that mistake again. So we'll just let that sit there, let it come down, and then put the blow-off tube and pitch the yeast when it gets a little bit lower. I have just taken a hydro sample, a little bit tricky to see, but pretty much 1060, which is about what I was looking for. It won't ferment super low because of all the dark malt and the unfermentable sugars in there, like the lactose. So everything went pretty well. We'll pitch the yeast later on, pardon me, and let it do its thing. And then about 2 days before cold crushing, I will put in some cold brewed coffee. So hopefully we'll see you in a little while for the tasting video. But until then, I might just have something special coming up at the end of this video. Wait and see. Okay, and the pour. It's very keen to see how it's held up. Hopefully it's retained some carbonation. Looks pretty good. Alright, we'll just hold it there actually. Okay. Looks good. Still looks good. Very dark. Nice, tight brown head. Yeah, the coffee's still there. Dark roasted malt. Chocolate and coffee. Amazing. Cheers. Oh yeah. Oh, that hits the spot. Yeah. Really delicious. Bit of a drying in the finish, but also there's a little bit of lingering sweetness from the lactose that was in there. Lots of coffee, lots of chocolate, the dark roasted malt, and those flavours, they're just lingering in the palate, begging me to go back for another taste. Delicious. So if this batch turns out well, then perhaps I should try to show a little bit more self-control and put away more than just one bottle, because that is just absolutely delicious. Great beer. All right, we'll next time I see you on Hef's Homebrew, hopefully we'll be doing the tasting. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on Hef's Homebrew.